Welcome to the WTR Small Cap Spotlight Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Gerdeman, Vice Chair and Co-founder and Chief Marketing Officer of Water Tower Research. In today's podcast episode, I'm being joined by Steve Fife, President and CEO, and Julie Boyster, CMO, both of LifeVantage, NASDAQ ticker symbol LFVN. LifeVantage is the world leader in using nutrigenomics to activate a healthy body, mind, and mood with science-backed products that include unique combinations of naturally occurring compounds. Also joining us today is my colleague Doug Lane, Head of Consumer Products Equity Research at Water Tower Research. Good morning, folks, and thank you for joining today's podcast.
Hey, thanks, Tim and Doug. It's great to be here.
So, Steve and Julie, by all accounts, LifeVantage executed a very successful launch of its new MindBody GLP-1 system in October. But the bad news, if you want to call it that, is that demand seemed to far outstrip your initial supply, resulting in stockouts and back orders. Bring us up to date. Is the product back in stock? And has there been any fallout from the supply issues among your consultants and customers?
Yeah, it is kind of a good news, bad news situation. You know, when we started planning for the launch of this product that occurred at an event that we had in the middle of October, we looked at our inventory and our needs, and our previous launch, our previous most successful launch was about 2 years ago when we launched a liquid collagen product. And it was wildly successful. And when we were planning our GLP-1 launch, we actually 5 times the inventory level based on what we anticipated the demand to be. And the good news is that we sold out that demand in 13 days. The bad news, like you mentioned, it put us into a back order situation, even by the end of October. And now, I'm happy to be able to report and share that middle of December we started getting product back in and shipping it to our customers. And I think it was December 23rd officially came off of back order. And by the end of December, we were able to fulfill and ship all existing at that time, MindBody or GLP-1 products. So as we ended the quarter, we were current with all shipments, and we have inventory now, and I don't anticipate any additional problems. Our suppliers and our internal operations team was, they were just phenomenal in working with us. We've identified kind of some alternative sources of raw materials, and our manufacturer has increased capacity. So it was a great launch, great success for our consultants. And now it appears that we're through that breach and are in a situation now where they can focus more on bringing our great product to more customers, as opposed to answering phone calls of when's the product going to ship. So our consultant base is also super happy with where we are, obviously.
That's great news. I'll turn the questions over to Doug now, if I may.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear, Steve, because I know that was unexpected. Like you say, it's a good problem to have, but it's good that you got through it as well as you appear to have. And you pre-announced a very nice quarter upside on sales a couple of days ago. So even with the disruptions, it looks like it didn't really impact the business too dramatically. So switching over to Julie, can you dive a little deeper into the science behind MindBody, maybe even some background into your process with its development? How's it different from other GLP-1 related products on the market?
Yeah, thanks, Doug. Great question. So I'm going to start kind of at the beginning, because GLP-1, it's a hormone that your body produces when you eat. And its job is to communicate with your brain. It's produced in your gut. So then it communicates with your brain via that gut-brain axis to really control digestion, balance blood sugar, It's also going to come alongside of you and support several organs, heart, liver, kidneys. So your body, it's capable of making this hormone, and it should be making this hormone, but production of it declines with things like age, poor diet, stress, other lifestyle factors. So our product difference at LifeVantage is activation. We want our products to not only supplement and bridge a nutritional gap, we want it to actually restore those functions and processes that have been turned off. So whenever we're formulating products, we're always going to ask ourselves, what else does our bodies need to be healthy? What are those things that are declining, things that are turning off, that we can look to nutrients to turn back on? So that's the antioxidant story. Antioxidants decline with age. That's what Protandim Nrf2 is for. Collagen production declines as you age. That's why we have our liquid collagen. So GLP-1 for us is just another one of those targets. So when you ask about formulation and where we've kind of started with it, we look at where this hormone is produced, what environment it's produced in, what influences its production, and we find the right nutrients, the blends that are going to trigger and enhance that. So that's kind of from that formulation side, maybe why we're different. We're not just looking to, again, supplement with something, but really find those right and the key blends that activate. And really our product's different because it's a system. So each part of it's a 2-product system. And one part of that system is a blend responsible for activation of the L cell, which is where GLP-1 production starts. And part of the system is responsible for making sure that environment is primed for that production. So really the gut microbiome, in GLP-1's case, it's produced in the colon area specifically. So anyway, there's products that target the general microbiome, other metabolism pathways, but ours and our 2-product system specifically targeted to the activation of your natural GLP-1. And I think really that's why you see the 140% average increase in GLP-1 in our 12-week clinical is because of that 2-pronged approach and that hyperfixation and focus on that hormone itself.
No, that's very helpful. And I think that this is key in understanding LifeVantage and your differentiation for GLP-1, because you're not taking GLP-1. You're taking ingredients to help your body make GLP-1. And one key difference between the agonists is that there aren't the side effects from taking the outside GLP-1. Maybe you can explain a little bit more what you found now since you've been out there in the marketplace as far as the reaction from the field on the product. I know you had a little test group from Park City back in August and got some learnings there, but that was a small group. Now you have the whole field. What have you learned since the launch in October?
Yeah, well, like you said, one of the benefits of being a direct sales company is we are so close with our consumers. And I personally love that in marketing because we get that real-time feedback. We get a lot of data back. You mentioned our product preview group. That was a group of 55, and they did really help us understand what questions we needed to answer, how the body adjusted to the product consumption. One thing they did tell us, and we've heard this and kind of confirmed this from the field, but it's not just about weight loss or weight management. That is definitely the result that comes. People are experiencing, though, mental clarity, increased energy. One of our consumers, good picture in my head popped up because she's like, I'm the Energizer Bunny with this product. Like, I can just go and just keep going and kind of bounce. If a problem hits me, I bounce right off of that wall and keep on going and keep on marching. So that was a welcome surprise because I think, you hear a lot about GLP-1 in the market as really weight loss, but it is influencing, and this hormone specifically influences so many different areas of the body, and your metabolism has a huge influence on how you feel and how you get about your day. So that's been just an interesting thing to hear from consumers and have that validated is they're seeing the benefits of this product show up in other ways. And then the end result is weight loss because they're moving more, they're feeling better. They're able to not be tempted by the sugary things that kind of consume our day, or where your brain goes when you're hyper stressed. It's really having a big influence on them there. I think the other thing that has surprised us is really cellular health is really connected to weight loss. And we knew that. We're the activation company. We want to restore that root and that cellular health at that foundational level. But our consumers who have been on Protandim are really seeing great results with MindBody. And I'm attributing that to healthier cells. They've already kind of got their body balanced. They don't have that oxidative stress. And they're able to function. And when you give your cells other nutrients, those cells immediately kind of pick up and do what they're supposed to be doing without much downtime. So it's been really fun to research those synergies and look at the products together.
Steve, synergies is a big deal with LifeVantage. I mean, we found that in the Nrf2 and the liquid collagen. Even MindBody is two products that are synergistic together, right? The patent pending there is for the two products as a system. What have you found between Nrf2 and MindBody so far since it's been out?
Yeah, I'm gonna let Julie handle that. We've got some exciting information.
Yeah, we actually just did a research. Like you said, Doug, we always want to understand, because of that foundational cellular health, how our products influence each other. So we just announced the effects of our Protandim Nrf2 Synergizer, and when you take that in conjunction with MindBody. So some of the key findings was the amplification of each product's individual benefits. So you're going to see enhanced antioxidant defense with the two together. There were 4 additional antioxidant pathways that were activated. So it's taking that ability of Protandim Nrf2 to help cells make the antioxidants and introducing it to 4 additional pathways, or bringing that ability through 4 additional pathways that you don't see with either product on its own. MindBody's piece was amplified. There were 9 additional fat and fatty acid metabolism pathways that were activated. So again, increasing the efficacy of MindBody by optimizing the body's ability to use and distribute fat really effectively, and really enhancing the breakdown of that unhealthy visceral fat specifically. So amplified benefits, we see 4 additional antioxidant pathways, 9 additional fat and metabolism pathways, but we saw in a completely new benefit, or kind of bonus benefit, that you don't see with each product separately. And that is really, and I'm going to start here with an analogy, because your skin, that's your largest organ in your body, right? You see aging on your skin. You age, you get wrinkles, the structure, the function of your skin starts to break down. Actually, that's why we have our True Science Activated Skincare Collection, a little plug for that line too, because it uses our same activation principles applying to skin. But what people don't realize, and because you don't see it, is that similar to your skin breaking down in function and structure, your organs, other organs on the inside, are doing the exact same thing. So kind of breaking apart, losing their integrity. And that's typically known as just a natural aging process. But what we saw synergistically with Nrf2 and MindBody was that 22 new genes were activated that are really acting as a renovation crew for your organs. So they're coming in and helping you with your organ strength, the structure, and really communication between your organs. So it's helping with cellular adhesion. So that's your cell barrier and your tissue strength. Those were improved. Your pro-survival pathways. So regeneration and repair happens with those. And then that electrical and chemical signaling that affects coordination. For me, it's like when I'm stressed, I feel a little pulse in my eyelid that like triggers and twinges. That's your cells stressed, right? I think we all can relate to those moments where it's like you're hyper stressed and your body's reacting and maybe physically showing up for you in some ways. So MindBody and Nrf2 are going to help with that, again, to tell your cells, and to stop those impulses and signaling and help that coordination between cell tissues. So fascinating stuff, looking at things together, because again, neither one of those come to the table with that. But when cells are optimized, functioning properly, when you're giving them the nutrients they need at that foundational level, whole new areas can be explored. So think of it as the renovation crew for your inside organs, and we're going to keep you looking good on the inside as well.
Wow, that is interesting. And again, trying to understand how these products interact. I know you sell a lot of stacks, and I noticed one includes the Nrf2, the liquid collagen, and the new MindBody products. And it sounds like there's a lot of marketing that can go behind that we don't even know about yet. But MindBody as a GLP-1, everybody heard about that. It's everybody knows about GLP-1 and the impact it's had to the marketplace. You have a unique take on GLP-1, plus you have the very visible result of weight loss, even though there's more going on than we see just with the weight loss, but the weight loss is very visible. So again, the company was built originally on Nrf2, which again, it's nutrigenomics. You don't take antioxidants, you take ingredients that help your body make antioxidants. But, that's not a very visible thing to notice. You can't go around and say, boy, your antioxidants look good today. But I can say, I noticed you lost 15 pounds. It seems to me that this could be a very big product for LifeVantage, and just wanted to see if you feel it could be as big as Nrf2, which again, is still your largest product out there.
Yeah, I do, Doug. And I'm pretty confident in that. When I reflect back, I've been with the company for 7 years now. The company has been around for about 15 years. And when it launched with a single product, Protandim Nrf2. And I just constantly kind of put myself in a mindset of what was going on 15 years ago and what was the awareness of antioxidants and oxidative stress and the intersection of those two 15 years ago. And what has happened, somewhat independent of LifeVantage over the last 15 years in terms of the education of the population around oxidative stress and the need for additional antioxidants. And it's why, and it's just increased, over those 15 years. And it's why, our Protandim product still is well over 50% of our overall revenue. And it's continued to sustain that position within LifeVantage's product portfolio, I believe because of the awareness now that the general population has around the need for increased antioxidants. And I fast forward now to today and the education where the world's understanding and need for weight management is. And the alternatives that exist in the world from a synthetic standpoint, and the education that has been almost forced on all of us, given how much news there is around these options, but equally the side effects of a lot of those options. And we have a product, Julie touched on some of our human clinical study, but we have a product that is every bit as efficacious and without a lot of that, the concerns, and without the injections, without a prescription, all of these things, and the world is educated on it, on the challenge. And so I look at just where we are and the population that is aware of weight management today and the need versus oxidative stress 15 years ago. And there's no doubt in my mind that we will surpass our Nrf2 revenue with this product. And I don't think it's going to take 15 years to do that either.
No, well, it certainly sounds like you're off to a good start. I see we're coming up on time here, so maybe I'll throw it back to you, Tim, and see if you want to close up, you have any additional questions, or if you want to close the call.
I think we're all set, Doug. So thank you for joining us today, Steve Fife, President and CEO, and Julie Boyster, CMO of LifeVantage, NASDAQ ticker symbol LFVN. Also, thanks to my equity research colleague, Doug Lane, for joining us today. And then finally, a special shout out to the producer and editor of the podcast, my colleague, Joe Brunetto. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, as well as visiting www.watertowerresearch.com to stay up to speed on the company's small cap written research reports, podcasts, fireside chats, and conference schedules. We'll see you next time for another edition of the WTR Small Cap Spotlight Podcast.